Kim Jong Il.
Kim Jong Il was the supreme leader of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, commonly referred to as North Korea, from 1994 to 2011. He succeeded his father and founder of the DPRK, Kim Il-sung, following the elder Kim's death in 1994. Kim Jong Il was the General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, Chairman of the National Defense Commission of North Korea, and the Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army, the fourth largest standing army in the world. In April 2009, North Korea's constitution was amended to refer to him as the Supreme Leader. The North Korean government announced his death on December 19, 2011, whereupon his third son, Kim Jong Un, was promoted to a senior position in the ruling Workers' Party and succeeded him.
Early life. Birth.
Soviet records show that Kim was born Yuri Isinovich Kim in the village of Vyetskoy, near Khabarovsk, in 1941, where his father, Kim Il-sung, commanded the 1st Battalion of the Soviet 88th Brigade, made up of Chinese and Korean exiles. Kim Jong-il's mother, Kim Jong-suk, was Kim Il-sung's first wife. However, Kim Jong-il's official biography states he was born in a secret military camp on Baekdu Mountain, Korean, Baekdu-san-Myeongo-hyangjib, in Japanese-occupied Korea on February 16, 1942. Official biographers claim that his birth at Baekdu Mountain was foretold by a swallow, and heralded by the appearance of a double rainbow across the sky over the mountain and a new star in the heavens. According to one comrade of Kim's mother, Lee Min, word of Kim's birth first reached an army camp in Vyetskoy via radio and that both Kim and his mother did not return there until the following year. In 1945, Kim was 4 years old when World War II ended and Korea regained independence from Japan. His father returned to Pyongyang that September, and in late November Kim returned to Korea via a Soviet ship, landing at Sunbong, Seonbungun, also Ungi. The family moved into a former Japanese officer's mansion in Pyongyang, with a garden and pool. Kim Jong-il's brother, Shura Kim, the first Kim Pyong-il, but known by his Russian nickname, drowned there in 1948. Unconfirmed reports suggest that 5-year-old Kim Jong-il might have caused the accident. Reports indicate that his mother died in childbirth in 1949, however, unconfirmed reports suggest that his mother might have been shot and left to bleed to death.
Education.
According to his official biography, Kim completed the course of general education between September 1950 and August 1960. He attended primary school No. 4 and middle school No. 1, Namsan Higher Middle School, in Pyongyang. This is contested by foreign academics, who believe he is more likely to have received his early education in the People's Republic of China as a precaution to ensure his safety during the Korean War. Throughout his schooling, Kim was involved in politics. He was active in the Children's Union and the Democratic Youth League of North Korea, DYL, taking part in study groups of Marxist political theory and other literature. In September 1957 he became vice chairman of his middle school's DYL branch. The chairman had to be a teacher. He pursued a program of anti-factionalism and attempted to encourage greater ideological education among his classmates. Kim is also said to have received English language education at the University of Malta in the early 1970s, on his infrequent holidays in Malta as guest of Prime Minister Dom Mintoff. The elder Kim had meanwhile remarried and had another son, Kim Pyong-il, named after Kim Jong-il's drowned brother. Since 1988, Kim Pyong-il has served in a series of North Korean embassies in Europe and was the North Korean ambassador to Poland. Foreign commentators suspect that Kim Pyong-il was sent to these distant posts by his father in order to avoid a power struggle between his two sons.
Early years in politics.
As soon as he graduated from the university, Kim started his career as a political man. In September 1964 he was appointed to a guidance personnel position in the Central Guidance Division of the Organization and Guidance Department in the WPK. In February 1966 he moved his position to an equivalent rank in the Propaganda and Agitation Department. In February 1968, he was named director of the Movie and Arts Division in this department. In March 1969 he returned to the Organization and Guidance Department and was elevated to the position of Deputy Director of this department. In October 1970 he moved again to the position of Deputy Director in charge of Culture and Arts in the Propaganda and Guidance Department. In September 1973, in the 7th plenary session of the 5th Central Committee of the WPK, Kim Jong Il was promoted to the position of a party secretary in charge of organization and propaganda and agitation.
The Sixth Party Congress and Heir Apparent 1980 to 1994.
By the time of the Sixth Party Congress in October 1980, Kim Jong Il's control of the party operation was complete. He was given senior posts in the Politburo, the Military Commission and the Party Secretariat. According to his official biography, the WPK Central Committee had already anointed him successor to Kim Il-sung in February 1974. When he was made a member of the 7th Supreme People's Assembly in February 1982, international observers deemed him the heir apparent of North Korea. At this time Kim assumed the title Dear Leader, Sinahanunj Dorja, Chinianunj Dorja. The government began building a personality cult around him patterned after that of his father, the great leader. Kim Jong-il was regularly hailed by the media as the fearless leader, and the great successor to the revolutionary cause. He emerged as the most powerful figure behind his father in North Korea. On December 24, 1991, Kim was also named Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army. Since the army is the real foundation of power in North Korea, this was a vital step. Defense Minister Oh Jin-woo, one of Kim Il-sung's most loyal subordinates, engineered Kim Jong-il's acceptance by the army as the next leader of North Korea, despite his lack of military service. The only other possible leadership candidate, Prime Minister Kim Il, no relation, was removed from his posts in 1976. In 1992, Kim Il-sung publicly stated that his son was in charge of all internal affairs in the Democratic People's Republic. In 1992, radio broadcasts started referring to him as the Dear Father, instead of the Dear Leader, suggesting a promotion. His 50th birthday in February was the occasion for massive celebrations, exceeded only by those for the 80th birthday of Kim Il-sung himself on April 15 that same year. According to defector Wang Jang-yeop, the North Korean government system became even more centralized and autocratic during the 1980s and 1990s under Kim Jong-il than it had been under his father. In one example explained by Wang, although Kim Il-sung required his ministers to be loyal to him, he nonetheless and frequently sought their advice during decision-making. In contrast, Kim Jong-il demanded absolute obedience and agreement from his ministers and party officials with no advice or compromise, and he viewed any slight deviation from his thinking as a sign of disloyalty. According to Wang, Kim Jong-il personally directed even minor details of state affairs, such as the size of houses for party secretaries and the delivery of gifts to his subordinates. By the 1980s, North Korea began to experience severe economic stagnation. Kim Il-sung's policy of self-reliance, cut the country off from almost all external trade, even with its traditional partners, the Soviet Union and China. South Korea accused Kim of ordering the 1983 bombing in Rangoon, Burma, which killed 17 visiting South Korean officials, including 4 cabinet members, and another in 1987 which killed all 115 on board Korean Air Flight 858. A North Korean agent, Kim Hyun-hui, confessed to planting a bomb in the case of the second, saying the operation was ordered by Kim Jong-il personally. In 1992, Kim Jong-il's voice was broadcast within North Korea for the first time during a military parade for the KPA's 60th year anniversary in Pyongyang's Kim Il-sung Square, in which Kim Il-sung attended with Kim Jong-il by his side. After Kim Il-sung's speech, and the parade inspection, his son approached the microphone at the grandstand in response to the report of the parade inspector and simply said, "Glory to the heroic soldiers of the Korean People's Army." Everyone in the audience applauded and the parade participants at the square grounds, which included veteran soldiers and officers of the KPA, shouted 10,000 years, long live, 3 times after that. He was named chairman of the National Defense Commission on April 9, 1993, making him day-to-day commander of the armed forces.
Ruler of North Korea.
On July 8, 1994, Kim Il-sung died at the age of 82 from a heart attack. Although Kim Jong Il had been his father's designated successor as early as 1974 and was the undisputed heir apparent since 1991, it took him more than 3 years to consolidate his power. On January 1, 1995, Kim Jong Il inspected a unit of the Korean People's Army, which was his first official action as his father's successor. This act came amid much speculation over North Korea's direction after Kim Il-sung's death. On October 10, 1995, Kim reviewed a massive military parade and a procession of 1 million people in Pyongyang, marking the 50th anniversary of the founding of the country's ruling Workers' Party of Korea in what was his first major public appearance after his father's death. He officially took over his father's old post as General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea on October 8, 1997. In 1998, he was re-elected as chairman of the National Defense Commission, and the post was declared to be the highest post of the state. Most sources outside North Korea reckon Kim as North Korea's head of state from that date. Also in 1998, the Supreme People's Assembly wrote the president's post out of the constitution and designated Kim Il-sung as the country's eternal president in order to honor his memory forever. It can be argued, though, that Kim Jong Il became the country's undisputed leader when he became leader of the Workers' Party. In most communist countries, the party leader is the most powerful person in the country. Officially, Kim was part of a triumvirate heading the executive branch of the North Korean government along with Premier Cho Yong-rim and Parliament Chairman Kim Yong-nam, no relations. Each nominally held powers equivalent to a third of a president's powers in most other presidential systems. Kim Jong-il commanded the armed forces, Cho Yong-rim headed the government and handled domestic affairs, and Kim Yong-nam handled foreign relations. In practice, however, Kim Jong-il exercised absolute control over the government and the country. Although not required to stand for popular election to his key offices, he was unanimously elected to the Supreme People's Assembly every 5 years, representing a military constituency, due to his concurrent capacities as Supreme Commander of the KPA and Chairman of the NDC.
Economic policies.
The state-controlled economy of North Korea struggled throughout the 1990s, primarily due to mismanagement. In addition, North Korea experienced severe floods in the mid-1990s, exacerbated by poor land management. This, compounded with only 18% arable land and an inability to import the goods necessary to sustain industry, led to an immense famine and left North Korea in economic shambles. Faced with a country in decay, Kim adopted a military-first policy, Sononjeongni, Songun-chongshi, to strengthen the country and reinforce the regime. On the national scale, a North Korean spokesman has claimed that this has resulted in a positive growth rate for the country since 1996, with the implementation of landmark socialist-type market economic practices in 2002 keeping the North afloat despite a continued dependency on foreign aid for food. In the wake of the devastation of the 1990s, the government began formally approving some activity of small-scale bartering and trade. As observed by Daniel Snyder, Associate Director for Research at the Stanford University Asia-Pacific Research Center, this flirtation with capitalism was fairly limited, but, especially compared to the past, there are now remarkable markets that create the semblance of a free market system. In 2002, Kim Jong-il declared that money should be capable of measuring the worth of all commodities. These gestures toward economic reform mirror similar actions taken by China's Deng Xiaoping in the late 1980s and early 90s. During a rare visit in 2006, Kim expressed admiration for China's rapid economic progress.
Foreign relations.
In 1998, South Korean President Kim Dae-jung implemented the Sunshine Policy to improve North-South relations and to allow South Korean companies to start projects in the North. Kim Jong Il announced plans to import and develop new technologies to develop North Korea's fledgling software industry. As a result of the new policy, the Kaesong Industrial Park was constructed in 2003 just north of the demilitarized zone, with the planned participation of 250 South Korean companies, employing 100,000 North Koreans, by 2007. However, by March 2007, the park contained only 21 companies, employing 12,000 North Korean workers. In 1994, North Korea and the United States signed an agreed framework which was designed to freeze and eventually dismantle the North's nuclear weapons program in exchange for aid in producing two power-generating nuclear reactors. In 2002, Kim Jong Il's government admitted to having produced nuclear weapons since the 1994 agreement. Kim's regime argued the secret production was necessary for security purposes, citing the presence of United States-owned nuclear weapons in South Korea and the new tensions with the United States under President George W. Bush. On October 9, 2006, North Korea's Korean Central News Agency announced that it had successfully conducted an underground nuclear test.
Cult of personality.
Kim Jong Il was the center of an elaborate personality cult inherited from his father and founder of the DPRK, Kim Il-sung. Defectors have been quoted as saying that North Korean schools deify both father and son. He was often the center of attention throughout ordinary life in the DPRK. On his 60th birthday, based on his official date of birth, mass celebrations occurred throughout the country on the occasion of his Hwanjub. Many North Koreans believed that he had the magical ability to control the weather based on his mood. In 2010, the North Korean media reported that Kim's distinctive clothing had set worldwide fashion trends. One point of view is that Kim Jong Il's cult of personality was solely out of respect for Kim Il-sung or out of fear of punishment for failure to pay homage. Media and government sources from outside of North Korea generally support this view, while North Korean government sources aver it was a genuine hero worship. The song No Motherland Without You, sung by the KPA State Merited Choir, was created especially for Kim in 1992 and is frequently broadcast on the radio and from loudspeakers on the streets of Pyongyang.
Style of leadership.
The overall decline of the formal institutions, party and cabinet, under Kim Jong-il opened the way to a much more informal process than existed under Kim Il-sung. Through close aid politics, Kim created an informal system that circumnavigated direct chains of command in order to give him alternate reservoirs of information. This allowed him to access information that might otherwise have been denied through formal channels. It also allowed him to keep tabs on the senior leadership. He did this by forming alliances with trusted individuals within key ministries and commands. This kept other senior leaders off balance and prevented them from using their bureaucracies as breeding grounds for anti-regime cabals and plots. Policy process most likely began in close aid gatherings or during the inspection process. It was during these times that Kim set the broad parameters for policy, both domestic and foreign. Once the broad outlines were set, policy-making was usually initiated by a direct request from Kim in the form of an instruction. Sometimes this instruction went to a particular department or even a particular individual. On other occasions, the instruction was farmed out to several relevant departments. Normally, more than one department was involved, and in these cases the instruction was managed through issue-related task forces that were organized to reach consensus. In all circumstances, the Party Organization Guidance Department made a note of Kim's request so it could be tracked through the policy development process. After sufficient consultation by the relevant departments, a council or group of councillors, in the case of a task force, wrote a policy draft which addressed Kim's instruction.
Human Rights Record.
According to a 2004 Human Rights Watch report, the North Korean government under Kim was among the world's most repressive governments, having up to 200,000 political prisoners according to U.S. and South Korean officials, and no freedom of the press or religion, political opposition or equal education. Virtually every aspect of political, social, and economic life is controlled by the government. Kim's government was accused of crimes against humanity for its alleged culpability in creating and prolonging the 1990s famine.
2008 health and waning power rumors.
In an August 2008 issue of the Japanese news weekly Shuken Jindai, Waseda University professor Toshimitsu Shijimura, an authority on the Korean peninsula, claimed that Kim Jong Il died of diabetes in late 2003 and had been replaced in public appearances by one or more stand-ins previously employed to protect him from assassination attempts. In a subsequent best-selling book, The True Character of Kim Jong Il, Shijimura cited apparently unnamed people close to Kim's family along with Japanese and South Korean intelligence sources, claiming they confirmed Kim's diabetes took a turn for the worse early in 2000 and from then until his supposed death 3.5 years later he was using a wheelchair. Shijimura moreover claimed a vociferant analysis of Kim speaking in 2004 did not match a known earlier recording. It was also noted that Kim Jong Il did not appear in public for the Olympic torch relay in Pyongyang on April 28, 2008. The question had reportedly baffled foreign intelligence agencies for years. On September 9, 2008, various sources reported that after he did not show up that day for a military parade celebrating North Korea's 60th anniversary, United States intelligence agencies believed Kim might be gravely ill after having suffered a stroke. He had last been seen in public a month earlier. A former CIA official said earlier reports of a health crisis were likely accurate. North Korean media remained silent on the issue. An Associated Press report said analysts believed Kim had been supporting moderates in the foreign ministry, while North Korea's powerful military was against so-called six-party negotiations with China, Japan, Russia, South Korea and the United States aimed towards ridding North Korea of nuclear weapons. Some United States officials noted that soon after rumors about Kim's health were publicized a month before, North Korea had taken a tougher line in nuclear negotiations. In late August, North Korea's official news agency reported the government would consider soon the step to restore the nuclear facilities in Yongbyon to their original status strongly requested by its relevant institutions. Analysts said this meant the military may have taken the upper hand and that Kim might no longer be wielding absolute authority. By September 10, there were conflicting reports. Unidentified South Korean government officials said Kim had undergone surgery after suffering a minor stroke and had apparently intended to attend September 9 event in the afternoon but decided not to because of the aftermath of the surgery. High-ranking North Korean official Kim Jong-nam said, "While we wanted to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the country with General Secretary Kim Jong Il, we celebrated on our own." Song Il-ho, North Korea's ambassador said, "We see such reports as not only worthless, but rather as a conspiracy plot." Seoul's Kosan Ilbo newspaper reported that the South Korean embassy in Beijing had received an intelligence report that Kim collapsed on August 22. The New York Times reported on September 9 that Kim was very ill and most likely suffered a stroke a few weeks ago, but United States intelligence authorities do not think his death is imminent. The BBC noted that the North Korean government denied these reports, stating that Kim's health problems were not serious enough to threaten his life, although they did confirm that he had suffered a stroke on August 15. Japan's Kyodo News Agency reported on September 14 that Kim collapsed on August 14 due to stroke or a cerebral hemorrhage, and that Beijing dispatched 5 military doctors at the request of Pyongyang. Kim will require a long period of rest and rehabilitation before he fully recovers and has complete command of his limbs again, as with typical stroke victims. Japan's Mainichi Shimbun claimed Kim had occasionally lost consciousness since April. Japan's Tokyo Shimbun on September 15 added that Kim was staying at the Bongwal State Guest House. He was apparently conscious, but he needs some time to recuperate from the recent stroke, with some parts of his hands and feet paralyzed. It cited Chinese sources which claimed that one cause for the stroke could have been stress brought about by the United States' delay to remove North Korea from its list of state sponsors of terrorism. On October 19, North Korea reportedly ordered its diplomats to stay near their embassies to await an important message, according to Japan's Yomiuri Shimbun. setting off renewed speculation about the health of the ailing leader. By October 29, 2008, reports stated Kim suffered a serious setback and had been taken back to hospital. The New York Times reported that Taro Asu, on October 28, 2008, stated in a parliamentary session that Kim had been hospitalized. "His condition is not so good. However, I don't think he is totally incapable of making decisions." Asu further said a French neurosurgeon was aboard a plane for Beijing, en route to North Korea. Further, Kim Sung-ho, director of South Korea's National Intelligence Service, told lawmakers in a closed parliamentary session in Seoul that Kim appeared to be recovering quickly enough to start performing his daily duties. The Donghwalbo newspaper reported a serious problem with Kim's health. Japan's Fuji television network reported that Kim's eldest son, Kim Jong Un, traveled to Paris to hire a neurosurgeon for his father, and showed footage where the surgeon boarded flight CA-121 bound for Pyongyang from Beijing on October 24. The French weekly Le Point identified him as François-Xavier Roux, neurosurgery director of Paris Sainte-Anne Hospital, but Roux himself stated he was in Beijing for several days and not North Korea. On December 19, 2011, Roux confirmed that Kim suffered a debilitating stroke in 2008 and was treated by himself and other French doctors at Pyongyang's Red Cross Hospital. Roux said Kim suffered few lasting effects. On November 5, 2008, the North Korean Central News Agency published 2 photos showing Kim posing with dozens of Korean People's Army, KPA, soldiers on a visit to Military Unit 2200 and subunit of Unit 534. Shown with his usual bouffant hairstyle, with his trademark sunglasses and a white winter parka, Kim stood in front of trees with autumn foliage and a red and white banner. The Times questioned the authenticity of at least one of these photos. In November 2008, Japan's TBS TV network reported that Kim had suffered a second stroke in October, which affected the movement of his left arm and leg and also his ability to speak. However, South Korea's intelligence agency rejected this report. In response to the rumors regarding Kim's health and supposed loss of power, in April 2009, North Korea released a video showing Kim visiting factories and other places around the country between November and December 2008. In 2010, documents released by WikiLeaks purportedly attested that Kim suffered from epilepsy. According to the Daily Telegraph, Kim was a chain smoker.
Successor.
Kim's 3 sons and his brother-in-law, along with Oh Kye-ryol, an army general, had been noted as possible successors, but the North Korean government had for a time been wholly silent on this matter. Kim Jong Un, a political expert at the Institute for North Korean Studies at Seoul's Dongguk University, said in 2007, even the North Korean establishment would not advocate a continuation of the family dynasty at this point. Kim's eldest son Kim Jong Un was earlier believed to be the designated heir, but he appears to have fallen out of favor after being arrested at Narita International Airport near Tokyo in 2001 while traveling on a forged passport. On June 2, 2009, it was reported that Kim Jong Il's youngest son, Kim Jong Un, was to be North Korea's next leader. Like his father and grandfather, he has also been given an official sobriquet, the Brilliant Comrade. Prior to his death, it had been reported that Kim Jong Il was expected to officially designate the son as his successor in 2012.
Re-election as DPRK leader.
On April 9, 2009, Kim was re-elected as chairman of the DPRK National Defense Commission, and made an appearance at the Supreme People's Assembly. This was the first time Kim was seen in public since August 2008. He was unanimously re-elected and given a standing ovation. On September 28, 2010, Kim was re-elected as General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea.
2010 and 2011 foreign visits.
Kim reportedly visited the People's Republic of China in May 2010. He entered the country via his personal train on May 3, and stayed in a hotel in Dalian. In May 2010, Assistant U.S. Secretary of State for East Asian and Pacific Affairs Kurt Campbell told South Korean officials that Kim had only 3 years to live. Kim traveled to China again in August 2010, this time with his son, fueling speculation that he is ready to hand over power to his son, Kim Jong Un. He returned to China again in May 2011, marking the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty of Friendship, Cooperation and Mutual Assistance between China and the DPRK. In late August 2011, he traveled by train to the Russian Far East to meet with President Dmitry Medvedev for unspecified talks.
Late 2011.
There were speculations that the visit of Kim Jong Il abroad in 2010 and 2011 were a sign of his improving health, and a possible slowdown in succession might follow. After the visit to Russia, Kim Jong Il appeared in a military parade in Pyongyang on September 9, accompanied by Kim Jong Un.
Personal life. Family.
There is no official information available about Kim Jong Il's marital history, but he is believed to have been officially married once and to have had 3 mistresses. He had 3 known sons, Kim Jong-nam, Kim Jong-chul, Kim Jong-un. His 2 known daughters are Kim Seol-song and Kim Yo-jong. Kim's first mistress, Song Hye-rim, was a star of North Korean films. She was already married to another man and with a child when they met. Kim is reported to have forced her husband to divorce her. This relationship, started in 1970, was not officially recognized. They had 1 son, Kim Jong-nam, born 1971, who is Kim Jong-il's eldest son. Kim kept both the relationship and the child a secret, even from his father Kim Il-sung, until Kim ascended to power in 1994. However, after years of estrangement, Song is believed to have died in Moscow in a central clinical hospital in 2002. Kim's official wife, Kim Young-suk, was the daughter of a high-ranking military official. His father Kim Il-sung handpicked her to marry his son. The two were estranged for some years before Kim's death. Kim had a daughter from this marriage, Kim Seol-song, born 1974. His second mistress, Ko Young-hee, was a Japanese-born ethnic Korean and a dancer. She had taken over the role of First Lady until her death, reportedly of cancer, in 2004. They had 2 sons, Kim Jong-chul, in 1981, and Kim Jong-un, also Jong-woon, or Jong-won, in 1983. They also had a daughter, Kim Yo-jong, who was about 23 years old in 2012. After Ko's death, Kim lived with Kim Ok, his third mistress, who had served as his personal secretary since the 1980s. She virtually acts as North Korea's First Lady, and frequently accompanied Kim on his visits to military bases and in meetings with visiting foreign dignitaries. She traveled with Kim Jong-il on a secretive trip to China in January 2006, where she was received by Chinese officials as Kim's wife. He reportedly had a younger sister, Kim Kyung-hui, Jim Jae-rongai.
Personality.
Like his father, Kim had a fear of flying and always traveled by private armored train for state visits to Russia and China. The BBC reported that Konstantin Pulikovsky, a Russian emissary who traveled with Kim across Russia by train, told reporters that Kim had live lobsters airlifted to the train every day. Kim was said to be a huge film fan, owning a collection of more than 20,000 videotapes and DVDs. His reported favorite movie franchises included Friday the 13th, Rambo, Godzilla, and Hong Kong action cinema, and any movie starring Elizabeth Taylor. He authored on the art of the cinema. In 1978, on Kim's orders, South Korean film director Shin Sang-ok and his actress wife Choi Eun-hee were kidnapped in order to build a North Korean film industry. In 2006 he was involved in the production of the Josh-based movie, The Schoolgirl's Diary, which depicted the life of a young girl whose parents are scientists, with a KCNA news report stating that Kim improved its script and guided its production. In a 2011 news story, The Sun reported, Kim Jong-il was obsessed with Elvis Presley. His mansion was crammed with his idol's records and his collection of 20,000 Hollywood movies included Presley's titles, along with Rambo and Godzilla. He even copied the King's Vegas-era look of giant shades, jumpsuits and bouffant hairstyle. It was reported in 2003 that Kim Jong Il had a huge porn film collection. Although Kim enjoyed many foreign forms of entertainment, according to former bodyguard Lee Young-ik, he refused to consume any food or drink not produced in North Korea, with the exception of wine from France. His former chef Kenji Fujimoto, however, has stated that Kim sometimes sent him around the world to purchase a variety of foreign delicacies. Kim reportedly enjoyed basketball. Former United States Secretary of State Madeleine Albright ended her summit with Kim by presenting him with a basketball signed by NBA legend Michael Jordan. Also an apparent golfer, North Korean state media reports that Kim routinely shot 3 or 4 holes in one per round. His official biography also claims that Kim composed 6 operas and enjoys staging elaborate musicals. Kim referred to himself as an internet expert. United States Special Envoy for the Korean peace talks, Charles Cartman, who was involved in the 2000 Madeleine Albright summit with Kim, characterized Kim as a reasonable man in negotiations, to the point, but with a sense of humor and personally attentive to the people he was hosting. However, psychological evaluations conclude that Kim Jong Il's antisocial features, such as his fearlessness in the face of sanctions and punishment, served to make negotiations extraordinarily difficult. The field of psychology has long been fascinated with the personality assessment of dictators, a notion that resulted in an extensive personality evaluation of Kim Jong Il. The report, compiled by Frederick L. Coolidge and Daniel L. Siegel, with the assistance of a South Korean psychiatrist considered an expert on Kim Jong Il's behavior, concluded that the Big Six group of personality disorders shared by dictators Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, and Saddam Hussein, sadistic, paranoid, antisocial, narcissistic, schizoid and schizotypal, were also shared by Kim Jong Il, coinciding primarily with the profile of Saddam Hussein. The evaluation found Kim Jong Il appeared to pride himself on North Korea's independence, despite the extreme hardships it appears to place on the North Korean people, an attribute appearing to emanate from his antisocial personality pattern. This notion also encourages other cognitive issues, such as self-deception, as subsidiary components to Kim Jong Il's personality. Defectors claim that Kim had 17 different palaces and residences all over North Korea, including a private resort near Baekdu Mountain, a seaside lodge in the city of Wonsan, and Ryungsong Residence, a palace complex northeast of Pyongyang surrounded with multiple fence lines, bunkers and anti-aircraft batteries.
Finances.
According to the Sunday Telegraph, Kim had $4 billion on deposit in European banks in case he ever needed to flee North Korea. The Sunday Telegraph reported that most of the money was in banks in Luxembourg.
Death.
It was reported that Kim Jong Il had died of a suspected heart attack on December 17, 2011 at 8:30 while traveling by train to an area outside Pyongyang. It was reported in December 2012, however, that he had died in a fit of rage over construction faults at a crucial power plant project at Hwichon in Zhejiang province. He was succeeded by his youngest son Kim Jong Un, who was hailed by the Korean Central News Agency as the great successor. According to the Korean Central News Agency, KCNA, during his death a fierce snowstorm paused and the sky glowed red above the sacred Mount Poektu. The ice on a famous lake also cracked so loud that it seemed to shake the heavens and the earth. Kim Jong Il's funeral took place on December 28 in Pyongyang, with a mourning period lasting until the following day. South Korea's military was immediately put on alert after the announcement and its National Security Council convened for an emergency meeting, out of concern that political jockeying in North Korea could destabilize the region. Asian stock markets fell soon after the announcement, due to similar concerns. On January 12, 2012, North Korea called Kim Jong Il the eternal leader, and announced that his body will be preserved and displayed at Pyongyang's Kumsusan Memorial Palace. Officials will also install statues, portraits, and towers to his immortality across the country. His birthday of February 16 has been declared the greatest auspicious holiday of the nation, and has been named the Day of the Shining Star. In February 2012, On what would have been his 71st birthday, Kim Jong Il posthumously was made Dai Wunsu, usually translated as Generalissimo, literally Grand Marshal, the nation's top military rank. He had been named Wunsu, Marshal, in 1992 when North Korea founder Kim Il-sung was promoted to Dai Wunsu. Also in February 2012, the North Korean government created the Order of Kim Jong Il in his honor and awarded it to 132 individuals for services in building a thriving socialist nation, and for increasing defense capabilities.
Official titles:
Party Center of the WPK and Member, Central Committee of the WPK, 1970s, Dear Leader, Janayanamj Dorje, late 1970s 1994, Member, Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly of the DPRK, Secretary, Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, 1974 to 1997, Presidium Member of the Politburo, WPK Central Committee, 1980 to 2011, Supreme Commander, Korean People's Army, December 25, 1991 – December 17, 2011, Marshal of the DPRK, 1993 to 2011, Chairman, National Defense Commission of North Korea, 1993 to 2011, Great Leader, Widehanryung Dorje, July 1994, December 2011, General Secretary, Workers' Party of Korea, October 1997, December 2011, Chairman, Central Military Commission, DPRK, October 1997, December 2011, Eternal Leader, posthumous, January 2012, present, Generalissimo of the DPRK, posthumous, January 2012, present, Eternal General Secretary, Workers' Party of Korea, posthumous, April 11, 2012, present, Eternal Chairman of the National Defense of Commission, posthumous, April 13, 2012, present.
Published works:
The family moved into a former Japanese officer's mansion in Pyongyang, with a garden and pool. Kim Jong-il's brother, Shura Kim, the first Kim Pyong-il, but known by his Russian nickname, drowned there in 1948. Unconfirmed reports suggest that 5-year-old Kim Jong-il might have caused the accident. Reports indicate that his mother died in childbirth in 1949, however, unconfirmed reports suggest that his mother might have been shot and left to bleed to death.
Education.
According to his official biography, Kim completed the course of general education between September 1950 and August 1960. He attended primary school No. 4 and middle school No. 1, Namsan Higher Middle School, in Pyongyang. This is contested by foreign academics, who believe he is more likely to have received his early education in the People's Republic of China as a precaution to ensure his safety during the Korean War. Throughout his schooling, Kim was involved in politics. He was active in the Children's Union and the Democratic Youth League of MA. 1964 he was appointed to a guidance personnel position in the Central Guidance Division of the Organization and Guidance Department in the WPK. In February 1966 he moved his position to an equivalent rank in the Propaganda and Agitation Department. In February 1968, he was named Director of the Movie and Arts Division in this department. In March 1969 he returned to the Organization and Guidance Department and was elevated to the position of Deputy Director of this department. In October 1970 he moved again to the position of Deputy Director in charge of Culture and Arts in the Propaganda and Guidance Department. In September 1973, in the 7th plenary session of the 5th Central Committee of the WPK, Kim Jong Il was promoted to the position of a party secretary in charge of organization and propaganda and agitation.
The Sixth Party Congress and Heir Apparent 1980 to 1994.
By the time of the Sixth Party Congress in October 1980, Kim Jong-il's control of the North Korea, DYL, taking part in study groups of Marxist political theory and other literature. In September 1957 he became vice chairman of his middle school's DYL branch. The chairman had to be a teacher. He pursued a program of anti-factionalism and attempted to encourage greater ideological education among his classmates. Kim is also said to have received English language education at the University of Malta in the early 1970s, on his infrequent holidays in Malta as guest of Prime Minister Dom Mintoff. The elder Kim had meanwhile remarried and had another son, Kim Jong Il, named after Kim Jong Il's drowned brother. Since 1988, Kim Jong Il has served in a series of North Korean embassies in Europe and was the North Korean ambassador to Poland. Foreign commentators suspect that Kim Jong Il was sent to these distant posts by his father in order to avoid a power struggle between his two sons.
Early years in politics.
As soon as he graduated from the university, Kim started his career as a political man. In September, Kim Il-sung commanded the 1st Battalion of the Soviet 88th Brigade, made up of Chinese and Korean exiles. Kim Jong-il's mother, Kim Jong-suk, was Kim Il-sung's first wife. However, Kim Jong-il's official biography states he was born in a secret military camp on Baekdu Mountain, Korean, Baekdu-san-Myeongo-hyang-jib, in Japanese-occupied Korea on February 16, 1942. Official biographers claim that his birth at Baekdu Mountain was foretold by a swallow, and heralded by the appearance of a double rainbow across the sky over the mountain and a new star in the heavens. According to one comrade of Kim's mother, Lee Min, word of Kim's birth first reached an army camp in Vyatsky via radio and that both Kim and his mother did not return there until the following year. In 1945, Kim was 4 years old when World War II ended and Korea regained independence from Japan. His father returned to Pyongyang that September, and in late November Kim returned to Korea via a Soviet ship, landing at Sunbong, Seonbungun, also Ungi.
Kim Jong-il.
Kim Jong-il was the supreme leader of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, commonly referred to as North Korea, from 1994 to 2011. He succeeded his father and founder of the DPRK, Kim Il-sung, following the elder Kim's death in 1994. Kim Jong-il was the General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, Chairman of the National Defense Commission of North Korea, and the Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army, the fourth largest standing army in the world. In April 2009, North Korea's constitution was amended to refer to him as the Supreme Leader. The North Korean government announced his death on December 19, 2011, whereupon his third son, Kim Jong Un, was promoted to a senior position in the ruling Workers' Party and succeeded him.
Early life. Birth.
Soviet records show that Kim was born Yuri Isinovich Kim in the village of Vyatsky, near Khabarovsk, in 1941, where his father,